Hello, everyone, and welcome back to This Day in History, our nightly look back at a specific day in history, where we take a look back at the events of a day, the historic context in which those events took place, and the historic ramifications of those events. As always, if you have not yet, please hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell notification icon to be alerted anytime I post new content, and tell a friend. And without any further ado, this day in history, June the 23rd. June 23rd. And we're going to return to a favorite topic of mine, and that is the politics of the United Kingdom. Longtime watchers of this channel will know that this is a favorite topic of mine and a pet horse of mine. And on this day, in 2016, a very momentous event in recent history of the United Kingdom, and in particular political history, occurred. Today was the referendum on whether should the United Kingdom remain a member of the European Union or leave the European Union. 72.21% of registered voters in the United Kingdom turned out, and 51.89% voted to leave, and 48.11% voted to remain. This was a stunning result. Most people believed that the United Kingdom very slightly would remain. It was the first in a long line of shocking events politically that would occur that year, or second if you count the fact that Trump had garnered the Republican nomination. His victory in November would be another. But this victory for the Leave side in what would become known as the Brexit referendum was very stunning and had definite and immediate political consequences. The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom at the time, David Cameron, who had called for the referendum and a firm remainer, announced his intent to step down as Prime Minister, which triggered a leadership election inside the Conservative Party, which led to the election of Theresa May, one of his cabinet ministers, as the leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party, and which in turn would make her Prime Minister. And Mrs. May had a majority in the Parliament. And she worked until about a year later with a working majority in the House of Commons. She had a majority. But she decided to shore up her majority and called for a snap election. And in that snap election, she lost her majority. And it was a stunning defeat. Most polls before the election had showed the Conservatives with a very comfortable lead in the polls. But in the closing days of the campaign, the race tightened, and Miss May, the Prime Minister, lost her majority. After losing her majority, she was unable. She worked out a deal with the European Union to leave the Union, but was unable to get parliamentary approval, which led to a prolonged battle with the European Union to get the negotiations extended. Finally, in frustration, in the last summer, Theresa May announced her intent to step down as prime minister, which triggered another leadership election inside the Conservative and Unionist parties. And that leadership election led to the election of Boris Johnson as the leader of the Conservative and Unionist parties. And Johnson, of course, would then become prime minister. Johnson tried some trickery to get his Brexit deals through the Commons and was thwarted by the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom and finally asked for a dissolvement of Parliament and an early general election, which occurred in December. And Boris Johnson won a large majority and was able to push through his Brexit deal, and officially on January 31st of 2020, nearly almost 4 years to the day, almost 6 months short of a full 4 years after the vote, the UK officially withdrew from membership from the European Union. This event had immediate, as I said, consequences. The Prime Minister at the time, David Cameron, announced his intent to step down. It also had worldwide implications and has really had an effect on international politics. Of course, it upended trade deals that the United Kingdom had with many countries and the European Union, and really signaled that the world was going to be embracing these right-of-center populist movements. Of course, in the United States, in the 2016 general election, Donald Trump benefited from that. In France, even though she was not victorious, Marie Le Pen of the National Front, a very far right-wing politician, advanced to the runoff. She was soundly defeated in that runoff, but she advanced. You also take a look around the world. Germany has a far right, and some would say, and I believe they're correct, fascistic party that is gaining support, and that should send shivers down the spine of everyone. And just a lot of upheaval in world politics. And the United Kingdom sent an early warning shot of things to come on this day in 2016 when they voted to leave the European Union. I personally think this was a terrible decision. I believe that its consequences will be long-lasting and very devastating for the United Kingdom and Europe and quite frankly, the world. They may not seem like it at the moment, but I think down the road we will see that this was a terrible decision. I thank you all for joining us tonight. I'll see you tomorrow.